Heno Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur. Heno Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur. De Anilo Prema Dhamma Karuna Prasu Anilo Prema Dhamma Karuna Prasu Heno Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur. Heno Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur. Kaha mora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan. Kaha mora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan. Kaha dasa Raghunatha Pachita Pavan. Kaha dasa Raghunatha Pachita Pavan. Anilo Prema Dhamma Karuna Prasu. Anilo Prema Dhamma Karuna Prasu. Heno Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur. Heno Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur. Heno Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur. Kaha mora bhakta jugan kaha kabira. Kaha mora bhakta jugan kaha kabira. Kaha mora bhakta jugan kaha kabira. Ekakale kota gela goranakara. Ekakale kota gela goranakara. Ekakale kota gela goranakara. Ekakale kota gela goranakara. Je anilo prema dhamma karuna prasu. Je anilo prema dhamma karuna prasu. Heno Prabhu kota gela acharya thakur. Heno Prabhu kota gela acharya thakur. Heno Prabhu kota gela acharya thakur. Asane koti bo mata anale pasibo. Asane koti bo mata anale pasibo. Asane koti bo mata anale pasibo. Gauranga Nera Nidhi Kota Gele Pabo. Gauranga Nera Nidhi Kota Gele Pabo. Gauranga Nera Nidhi Kota Gele Pabo. Anilo prema dhamma karuna prasu. Anilo prema dhamma karuna prasu. Heno Prabhu kota gela acharya thakur. 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 Se sab sangira sange jai kailo bilal. Se sab sangira sange jai kailo bilal. Se sanga na paya Kande Narottam Vada Sangana Paya Kande Narottam Vada Sangana Paya Kande Narottam Vada Anilo Pramadhanna Karuna Anilo Pramadhanna Karuna Heno Prabhu Kota Dila Acharya Thakur Heno Prabhu Kota Dila Acharya Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Acharya Thakur, Jaya Acharya Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava 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 Thakur. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Narottam Thakur, Jaya Narottam Thakur, Jaya Narottam Thakur, Jaya Narottam Thakur. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivasacharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopala Bhatta? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. Jai Srila Narottam Das Thakur ki. So today happens to be the Tirubhav Tithi of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Prabhupada mentions how, and our other acharyas, that simply by hearing and chanting some of the, or any of the bhajans and prayers composed by Narottam Das Thakur, it is as good as hearing directly from Shastra. Such exalted personalities who were the direct followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were, because of their a great fortune of associating with the Goswamis in Vrindavan, were self-realized souls, and therefore their poems are continue to be chanted to this day, and they are full of shastric injunctions, and as good when we chant these prayers, it is as good as hearing directly from Vedas. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Gopi Dana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Dana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Dana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Dana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Jashodanandana Jamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Jamuna Tira Banamsari Jamuna Tira Banamsari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Radha Madhava Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Thank Shupad Paramahamsa Pri Vradgacharya Stotra Satta Sri Simar His Divine Grace Sharaboy Charanarvin Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantaraj Bhagavatam Ki Dainitai Gaura Pimanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paritana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Scha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyayevasha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dhanam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, and becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamhitam Uttama Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya lokasya Dhanyam Swasya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Sri Advaita Gadadhara,
Sri Advaita Gadadhara,
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
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 Om Surabhyaya Namaha,
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 Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vasalam pangom nangayate girim yat kripa tamaham bandhe Sri Gurum Dinataranam yat kripa tamaham bandhe Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. And we continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto Canto 11. Okay. Chapter 18. Topic in relation to Vanaprastha. And today we're beginning with text number 7. Vanyais Charu
Charu
Purodashair
Purudashaya
Nirvapet
Nivapet
Kala
Kalam
Choditan
Choditam
Na
Na
Tu
Tu
Shrotena
Lotena
Pashuna
Pasuna
Mam
Mam
Yajeta
Yajeta
Vanasrami
Vanasrami
Vanyai Charu Purodashair
Vandaicharu Purudashaya
Nirvapet Kala Choditan
Nivapet Kala Choditam
Natu Srotena Pashuna
Natu Shrotena Pashuna
Mam Yajeta Vanasrami
Magyajeta Vanasrami
Vanyais Charu Purodashair
Vandaicharu Purudashaya
Nirvapet Kala Choditan
Nivapet Kala Choditam
Natu Srotena Pashuna
Natu Shrotena Pashuna
Mam Yajeta Vanasrami
Magyajeta Vanasrami
Vanyaisaru Purodashair
Vanaicharu Purudashaya
Nirvapet Kala Choditan
Nivapet Kala Choditam
Natu Srotena Pashuna
Natu Shrotena Pashuna
Mam Yajeta Vanasrami
Magyajeta Vanasrami Vanaicharu Purudashaya
Vanyaisaru Purodashair
Nivapet Kala Choditam
Nirvapet Kala Choditan
Natu Shrotena Pashuna
Natu Srotena Pashuna
Magyajeta Vanasrami
Mam Yajeta Vanasrami
Vanyaicharu purodashe
Vanyayishvaru Purudashayar
Nirvapet kala chodita
Nirvapet Kala Choditam
Natu shrautena pashuna
Natu Shrautena Pushuna
Mamya jeta vanashrami
Mamya Jeta Vanashrami Vanyai obtained in the forest
Obtained in the forest
Charu
Charu
with oblations of rice,
with oblations of rice
barley and dal beans,
Barley and dal beans
Purodashai,
Purodasai
and sacrificial cakes
and sacrificial cakes
prepared with wild rice.
prepared with wild rice
Nirvapet,
Nirvapet
one should offer
one should offer
Kala Choditam,
Kala
ritualistic sacrifices
ritualistic sacrifices
such as Agrayana,
such as
offered according to seasons.
offered according to seasons.
Agrayana is the offering
Agrayana is the offering
of the first fruits
of the first fruits
that appear
that appear
after the rainy season.
after the rainy season.
Na,
No,
never.
never.
Tu,
Two,
indeed.
indeed.
Srotena,
Srotena,
mentioned in the Vedas.
mentioned in the Veda.
Pashuna,
Pasuna,
with animal sacrifice.
with animal sacrifice.
Mam,
Mam,
may.
may.
Yajeta,
Yajeta,
may worship.
may worship.
Vana asrami,
Vanashrami,
one who has gone
one who has gone
to the forest,
to the forest,
taking the Vanaprastha order of life.
taking the Vanaprastha order of life.
A translation and short purport. One who has accepted the Vanaprastha order of life should perform seasonal sacrifices by offering oblations of charu and sacrificial cakes prepared from rice and other grains found in the forest. The Vanaprastha, however, may never offer animal sacrifices to me, even those sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Kindly repeat after me. One who has accepted
One who has accepted
the Vanaprastha order of life
the Vanaprastha order of life
should perform seasonal sacrifices
should perform seasonal sacrifices
by offering oblations of charu
by offering oblations of charu
and sacrificial cakes
and sacrificial cakes
prepared from rice
prepared from rice
and other grains
and other grains
found in the forest.
found in the forest.
The Vanaprastha,
The Vanaprastha,
however,
however,
may never offer
may never offer
animal sacrifices to me,
animal sacrifices to me.
even those sacrifices
Even those sacrifices
mentioned in the Vedas.
mentioned in the Veda.
A one-line purport. One who has taken the Vanaprastha order of life should never perform animal sacrifices or eat meat. That's a very controversial topic. Of course, it is not controversial for devotees, but there are people who claim that at certain times, for certain events or sacrifices, one can, and they quote Shastra also. So we see here a clear instruction. We also, when we were reading the instructions given by Narada Muni in the 7th canto, in the context of Shraddha, because generally, same thing in Bali also, actually, in Indonesia, even at regular times, but especially in Shraddha ceremonies, they offer meat, right? They offer non-vegetarian food. So there are many, actually one person, not directly, I think from ISKCON, but one person who is very much a follower of Sanatana Dharma, excuse me, he did a whole research and so many references he found condemning and not at all supporting animal sacrifice. So, so this simple point is being mentioned here, and that means, of course, that we can understand how much we have deviated, how much modern society has deviated from the actual norm, because the killing of animals and the eating of non-vegetarian food is, of course, very rampant, is everywhere in modern day society, and naturally, actually, one devotee just sent a quote a few days ago. In the context of different wars that have been taking place in the last century and that are currently ongoing, Prabhupada mentioned that as long as there will be slaughtering of cows, this is nature's way of reciprocating that there will be quarrel and wars amongst human beings, and they will be slaughtered actually in that way. So laws of nature are very strict, and naturally that is also one of the four pillars, doya, satyam doya, tapasocham doya, being compassionate, being merciful, which means, in a very broad and general way, feeling for the suffering and the pains of others, not inflicting upon others what we do not like to be inflicted upon us, basically. No one likes to suffer unless he's a mad person. So therefore, we should also be, yeah. So this is a simple but important instruction. Okay, text number 8. Agnihotram sadarashascha
Agnihotram sadasatra
Purnamashascha purvavat
Purnamashascha purvavat
Chaturmasyani chamuner
Chaturmasyani chamunet
Amnatani chanai gamai.
Amnatani chanai gamai.
This verse is relevant to us. Translation: the Vanaprastha should perform the Agnihotra, Darsha, and Purnamasa sacrifices as he did while in the Grihastha ashram. He should also perform the vows and sacrifices of Chaturmasya, which is ongoing, since all of these rituals are enjoined for the Vanaprastha ashram by expert knowers of the Vedas. And a short purport here. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given a detailed explanation of the four rituals mentioned here, namely Agnihotra, Darsha, Purnamasa, and Chaturmasya. The conclusion is that everyone should simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and avoid the difficult entanglement of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. If one neither chants Hare Krishna nor performs such rituals, one certainly becomes a prashandi, an atheistic fool. So yes, in our present context or present situation means in Kali Yuga, we cannot even properly read, what to speak of properly understand what is in the Shastra, isn't it? What is in the Vedic literatures, and therefore those who are seers, our great acharyas, knowing and understanding, that is in keeping with the principle of Kala Desha Patra, as we discussed yesterday. Actually, one has to. This is the unique and specific quality of acharyas. Acharyas like His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, who are able to introduce Krishna consciousness, who are able to attract people to take up the essence of what the Vedic literatures are teaching. The essence being, of course, to surrender to the Lord, and of course, what is being emphasized here. I'm quoting from one of our foremost Vaishnavacharya, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, taking shelter of the chanting of the holy name. So we've heard so many times that most important activity in any kind of yajna or sacrifice, and that's also there in the Bhagavad Gita, mentions that if one performs sacrifice without mantra, there's no proper result. If one performs sacrifice also without offering foodstuff or prasadam, then one does not get the proper result. What is darsha? You look that up. Agnihotra, we perform Agnihotra so many times. Purnamasa, what has to do with Purnima, isn't it? Purnamasa. And Chaturmasya, of course, we are in the 4th month of Chaturmasya, Darsha.
It is actually Darsha Purnimasa. They have split it here.
It mentions Darsha Purnima.
Darsha Purnamasa is a single term actually. They have split it here.
So somehow.
Darsha Purnamasa.
Okay. Darsha, in the word for word, Prabhupada translates the sacrifice performed on the new moon. And Purnamasa is a full moon sacrifice. So yeah. So it means in the Vedic culture, previously especially, so many different rituals were followed on special days of the month, just like we follow certain practices. We fast on Ekadasi, we fast some grains on Ekadasi. Those who are more strict, they fast altogether from food on Ekadasi. So Ekadasi days come twice a month. Purnima comes once a month. And of course, Chaturmas comes every year, but for 4 months. So there are many such special days where one is encouraged to perform different types of sacrifice. But our most important sacrifice is the chanting of the holy name. Okay, text number 9. Evam chirnena tapasa. Evam chirnena tapasa.
Evam chirnena tapasa.
Munera dhamani santata.
Munena dhamani santata.
Mamma tapo mayam aradhya.
Mam tapo mayam aradhya.
Rishi lokad upaiti mamma.
Rishi lokad upaiti mam.
Translation and purport: the saintly vanaprastha, practicing severe penances and accepting only the bare necessities of life, it becomes so emaciated that he appears to be mere skin and bones. Thus, thus worshipping me through severe penances, he goes to the Maharloka planet and then directly achieves me. Purport. A vanaprastha who develops a pure devotional service achieves the Supreme Lord Krishna while in the vanaprastha stage of life. One who does not become completely Krishna conscious, however, first goes to the planet Maharloka or Rishiloka, and from there directly achieves Lord Krishna. One achieves Maharloka or Rishiloka through strict observance of positive and negative regulations. However, without developing a taste for chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, it is not possible to achieve the perfect liberation of going back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, on the Maharloka planet, the unsuccessful sage gives more attention to chanting and hearing, and thus he gradually develops pure love of Godhead. Yeah, so many higher planets are there, and those who are saintly but somehow not yet perfect, they may go to some of these different planets. So many of these planets are described in the Shastra, but a devotee is not planning to go there, or not not attracted to go to such places. Okay, text 10. Yasvevat Krish Rathas Chirnam
Yastvevat Krishna
Tapo Nishreyasam Mahat
Tapo Nishreyasam Maha
Kama Yalpiyase Yunjad
Kamayalpiyase Yunjat
Balisha Ko Parastata.
Balishako Parastata.
Translation: one who with long endeavor executes this painful but exalted penance, which awards ultimate liberation, simply to achieve insignificant sense gratification, must be considered the greatest fool. Purport: although the process of vanaprastha described by the Lord is so glorious that even the consolation prize is promotion to Maharloka, one who consciously performs this process for such promotion to heaven is certainly the greatest fool. The Lord does not want this process to be abused or exploited by materialistic rascals, for the ultimate goal is love of Godhead. Okay. The next instruction is quite heavy, but Yadaso niyame kalpo
Yadaso niyame kalpo
daraya jatave pathu
Daraya jatave patu
at manyad min samaropya
Atmanyagni samaropya
machchitognim samavishat.
Machchitognim samavishet.
Translation and purport: if the vanaprastha is overtaken by old age, and because of his trembling body is no longer able to execute his prescribed duties, he should place a sacrificial fire within his heart by meditation. Then, fixing his mind on me, he should enter into the fire and give up his body. That's pretty heavy. Purport. Since the process of anaprastha is recommended for those nearing the end of life, there's always a likelihood that one will prematurely succumb to the symptom of old age and be unable to reach the final stage of sannyas. If one simply cannot carry on his religious duties due to old age, it is here advised that he fix the mind in Lord Krishna and enter into the sacrificial fire. Although this may not be possible in the modern age, we can appreciate the absolute seriousness of going back home, back to Godhead, as evidenced in this verse. Just one or two small comments on this. There are, like, this may be considered definitely by, even by devotees, as a controversial instruction, because we're not supposed, the body, we're not supposed to um, destroy this body. Here it seemingly is mentioning, of course, in another place, there is injunction that if one, especially in old age, is, I forget in which canto, but it's in the Bhagavatam, if one in old age is no longer able to maintain one's body, like if one can no longer digest, it is recommended that one just fast and in this way leave one's body. Modern ordinary way of looking at things is that one tries in so many ways. The general understanding or the general tendency is that even though the body is in a hopeless situation, people try in so many ways to inject and to operate and this and that. Whereas we understand as devotees, as followers of these Vedic teachings, that this body, we have to give up this body at some particular time, and that it is part of nature. It is part of the natural process that takes place. And for those, of course, who have no knowledge or information about what happens after death, then it's like they try to prevent that, but ultimately it's not preventable. So in other words, devotees have a proper understanding that it is quite natural, especially, well, either in old age or in a disease condition. We've had so many devotees who had not yet reached old age, but due to certain disease, had to leave their body. So we, as practitioners of Vedic knowledge, Vedic culture, we often speak actually about death in a, we could say in a positive way, accepting that it is part of reality, and that there are certain injunctions or instructions, just like this one, which seem to us just like this connected, this is directly connected with the practice of sati. So sati, we know, Prabhupada mentions that when the British came, sati was still being followed, and the British put a stop to it. But actually, some years back, one reporter had made a whole survey by going to different ashrams and interviewing different sadhus. Are you for sati, or do you support this process or not? And of course, it was divided. But Prabhupada mentions actually that sati practice, when Vedic culture was actually in place, one sati process is authorized process, But it is not something that can be or should be forced upon an individual. And Prabhupada explained it very nicely once in the following way. Now again, because we are so far removed from the Vedic culture, just like the actual relationship between man and woman in married life is very different than modern day concept, obviously. So Prabhupada was explaining that traditionally, especially because marriages, someone made a very interesting comment just a few days ago, that statistically there is a higher percentage of success in arranged marriages. Now, many people may not like to hear that, but there's a higher success of, higher percentage of success than in spontaneous, non-arranged marriages. So Prabhupada was giving the following example, that previously, because married life or family life is sacred. It is considered in the Vedic culture as very sacred, and as a means for actually both the husband and the wife and the children, of course, to collectively together progress and advance in Krishna consciousness, whereby there are very close knit ties. The members of the family, especially, it is recommended if the wife has a qualified husband, she should regard him as her guru. And just like we understand from Shastra, one who wants to make advancement in spiritual life needs to take full shelter of the spiritual master. So this is the standard, this is the injunction in the Shastra. When both individuals are qualified, the wife is meant to look upon her husband as guru and take full shelter of him. And of course, he is meant to give her full protection, to guide her, etc., like that. So Prabhupada was explaining how when that was prominent, when the Vedic culture was more established, it was just like in the Vedic culture, it was like inconceivable for a wife to speak to another husband or to another male, which is, of course, we're like millions, zeons of miles away from that in modern day society. And the point being, that was Prabhupada's point, that a wife would have such deep rooted feelings for her husband as her Lord. I mean, that's how Narada Muni also describes in the Bhagavatam, that if the husband somehow prematurely would leave, and Prabhupada quotes that there are examples of that in history, her feelings of separation were so intense that entering the fire was a relief, we could say, because the feelings of separation that she experienced were such that her body, even there are examples of that, would be, what's the expression? Like when it is very rare, but the body sometimes, due to some biological, physical changes, becomes self burns.
Itself.
there's a self. There's an expression I forget now. Just like when, for example, when we have a fever, the body gets very warm, hot, so hot sometimes. But it's just like we hear about the bodily transformations that take place. We read about this especially in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there are, again, it's very, very rare instances where due to some factors, the body, without any outside force or whatever, it becomes catches on fire. Anyway, we'll look up the actual wording for that. Just like when we read the pastimes of both in the Ramayana and Mahabharata, it's like people who were very cultured and very elevated had expressed, intense emotions and feelings. So we may not, most of us, we cannot understand some of these injunctions that are given in the Shastra, and I would say to a large extent because we are so far removed actually from from the Vedic culture and the type of relationships and the type of sentiments that are generated or developed in that context. Self-immolated or something.
Immolation is. I also thought self-immolation, but that is lighting on fire.
Okay, so yeah, so it's different. So there's another expression. Anyway, it's self. Okay, that means when something external puts the body on fire. Here we're talking about.
No, immolation actually means burning, but that kind of.
Yeah. There have been again very very rare incidences of the body just catching on fire by itself. That's okay. We can look it up later on. Okay. Any comments? Questions? Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. Yeah. Seventh and